I don't really know.
All right, so uh you have no idea like how excited I am to be having this segment today. All right, on the Face to Face radio show. Fran, listen, we're gonna keep it cozy.
Please.
First of all, financial advisor, is that the term that you prefer these days? Because you do so many things to help your clients. How do you
That can
categorize?
that can work. I use financial consultant, but accountant, bookkeeper, all that stuff, whatever you need.
Love it. And let me just say, Fran, the biggest reason, and I'm calling you Fran because I'm super comfortable
I
with
don't
it, right? Francesca.
know.
Um, I don't know if I've called you that before, but I can say
Mm,
from experience, of course, like you've just helped me. And as a small business owner, for those of you listening for the first time, as a small business owner, I've started different businesses and um, I've learned a few different things, tried a few different resources out. Of course, starting out, your funds are in most cases going to be limited. So as you begin to grow some revenue, though, then it opens your mind to some different things you can do with money. So anyway, going back to my point, I feel like the things that you've introduced me to on a financial standpoint, as far as not only earning more money but preserving more of those dollars, is just invaluable to me. So that's something I definitely want to lean into in this interview. First off, I just want to ask you, right now, describe your clientele or your ideal clientele for your services.
Of course, I have the individuals who are just your straight W-2 clients, maybe have a few rental. But my ideal client is the person who is transitioning from that W-2 world. So if you want to start a small business, or if you've had a small business for quite some time, I want that client because I've gone through that transition phase myself. Um, I've seen the high income individual, um, as well as like a corporation that's making millions. But I feel like there are a lot of things that I learned in corporate that I can help that small business owner with. I can teach them how to look at their financials and make, better business decisions. I can give them some ideas on how to streamline their processes so that they have more time in their day. Yeah, that small business client that's crossing over. That's me. Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's unique about that particular client? And I'll speak from my experience as well, but I want to hear basically how that target audience has attracted you. Like, what is it about that group?
Um, I grew up in a family of all entrepreneurs. Nobody worked for anyone. But then when I went to college, they pressed internship, working in corporate, getting that, I don't know, being groomed in corporate. Um, but what intrigues me about that client is they're stepping out of working from under someone where they've been managed. They haven't really had to think about overhead cost, or they don't even know how to find their bottom line. All that person really knows is that they have a passion for something, or they see an idea that they feel is a cash cow and they want to make money off of it. But the business side of it, they have no idea. So some of the questions that I get from that person, um, I don't laugh, but it's like, I have to teach you. Like, please come to me in a teaching moment because there are some things that you need to know as a business owner. It's not just an employee, but I always say that if you were a good employee, you can be a great business owner if you take some of those same skills and cross it over.
Yeah, you've said that to me before. And one other thing that you said a little bit earlier that resonated with me was these are some of your clients do not know how to find their bottom line. And I'll speak from experience, before I started taking advantage of Cesca Unlimited services, I had a difficult time identifying the bottom line. And it sounds like it would be as simple as, what's the balance in your bank account. But once you start to understand, and learn more about finances, from the business perspective, then you learn that no, that's not the story you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Or you got
Right.
to go deeper to find the story you're looking for as far as P&L statements, having that type of information available where how your present the standings of your business look, but then also using that information to project how the rest of your year, may look at the same
Mhm.
rate. And then having a financial advisor to be able to identify those moments ahead of time, give you a nudge as the small business owner and say, hey, this is how things are looking. Now would be a good time to implement some of those things or projects that you were wanting to pull out, or now maybe the time to like sit tight, and not make any major
Mhm.
unnecessary expenses during this season of your business.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I as a small business owner and a user of financial services, that's something I appreciate because, I'm not in the business of finances, but I need to know my financial situation is straight. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And if it's not straight, then I need to know what are my options for getting it straight again,
Oh yeah.
because we all know like Uncle Sam, he don't play about his money,
He want all the coins,
all of the.
all of them, illegal and legal.
Listen, I saw the memes going around on the gram. I still have yet to go fact check that. Have you fact checked that? Listen, regardless,
It's probably there. I didn't go fact check it, but it's probably there.
I don't doubt it either. But the memes are saying that, the IRS is asking you to report all of the coins, even from illegal activity, which it pretty explicitly, according to the memes anyway,
Mhm.
they call out, earning funds from illegal activities. So anyway, it's important. You got to pay the taxes, but you have to understand what type of taxes you're looking at, before it comes, which
Oh yeah.
again, another value I find from having this information is being able to plan ahead. You know what I'm saying? Because tax season is it ends April 15th. But at the same time, I can, see how you are more prepared when you know these things ahead of time, and you can start to put money away, as far as savings throughout the year and stuff, so that you're not at the last minute either trying to, come up with a large sum of money or getting on a payment plan, to pay
Yeah.
something that happened last year, this year.
Don't we know?
Yes, yes, exactly. So, and you learn from those situations, you know what I'm saying? It's not none of this, I don't think, deems anyone as doing anything wrong, or being a
Mm.
bad business owner. But again, when you know better, you do better, they say. So,
Yeah. And I mean, you also have to take into consideration, like, I mean, I majored in accounting, but that was textbook. I didn't really learn how to deal with different scenarios until I started working in the public firms and learning that, oh, there's a 5-year-old who's a millionaire. Like, they got a trust. Grandma gives them $1 million every Christmas, okay? Because she needs to gift money to lower her tax liability. So it's not until you work in it. I mean, textbook, it doesn't, you can Google everything that's in a textbook now. So that's not going to really get you anywhere if you can't apply it. So that's
so
just where we are.
hold on, Fred. You dropped a gem right there. We got to double back because it may have gone over some heads.
Yeah.
You said you were either dealing with a client or you use an example of someone, a 5-year-old
Hmm.
who's sitting on millions.
Hmm.
What is that? Because that's a gem. Explain that a little bit more.
That's a trust.
That is what you would classify as a trust. So tell me how that works again. Run that by me again.
Mm, basically, in that scenario, grandmother sat with, say, her financial advisor and looked at her entire tax situation. And basically, the advisor said, you need to give away this amount of money. Gifting it to your grandchildren would help. It goes into a trust, earns interest. Most of these kids, well, that child at that time was 5. I think the regulations or rules around that trust was they start getting disbursements at age 25. So if they get $1 million every year, by the time they turn 25, like there's no need to work at that point.
Wow, that's crazy. And a lot of people would have no idea that something like this, one, exists, two, is totally legal, you know, and it secures money, for your future generations all at the same time.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, we talk about execution and making things happen throughout the year, but it all starts with a plan. I know that you call me sometimes, like the last conversation where we had like a working session is we were actually using return on investment calculations. Who ever thought sitting in class that you would use that later in life? I don't know. But you got a plan.
That is I'm glad you brought that up. That was a great conversation that we had. We always have very thorough conversations around money. And that's something
Mhm.
that, not a lot of friendships, I think, can have or have as a part of their relationship. But Fran and I, we have this very open conversation about money. And of course, with Francesca's background, it helps me. I learn a lot from these conversations. And I think, when I'm speaking about these endeavors that I have or some business decisions that I'm thinking about making, it helps to also hear the perspective and the guidance from someone who knows about money. I mean, it's real simple for me. I realize that it's not my expertise, but I've also realized that it is yours. These conversations, I learned so much. So again, you use the example of can't think of
Return on investment?
return on investments. Yes. So as we were talking
Mhm.
about return on investments, so guide me down that conversation. Like what if you
Um, I think the biggest takeaway from that conversation was, and anybody just speaking in general, we see a lot of this trending. Like I remember last year, one of my friends was like, if I hear the letters LLC again, I'm going to throw my phone. And I think the reason for that is because people follow a lot of what they see. That's why you have so many social media millionaires these days.
yeah.
But sometimes it's a hype. And I think a lot of people, before they actually get into business, they need to sit down and talk, out the numbers, because the numbers are not going to lie. Of course, you have ideas, you have things you're passionate about, but if you can't monetize them, they're not going to return anything to you. What's the point? So I think that return on investment helps you not to make a hasty decision and end up losing money, all because you didn't, look at it before you actually executed.
I mean, that's a great point. So to go deeper into return on investment, right? And I'll speak from
Mhm,
like a small business owner as well. So I want to say the context of that conversation we were having was I was thinking of making an investment into something or purchasing something.
mhm,
And so
mhm,
when we think about return on investment, it's like, okay, well, there's a few pieces of it. There's how much does it cost and
mhm.
then how much does it earn, right?
Yeah, the potential.
The potential, right? So how much could it earn? So,
Mhm,
oh, in making those in making certain decisions or really all decisions in business, it's something to keep in mind is how much is this going to cost me, but then also how much could I potentially earn from having this new resource, this new asset, this new service, subscription, or whatever it is that helps guide those decisions, you know. If you feel like it
Oh,
has a low return on investment, so maybe we're talking about, I don't know, you know, we do a lot of events. So if I were to invest into, let's just say, a photo booth,
mm-hmm.
right, for my events that we do every week, and then it turns out, you know, it doesn't generate, or it's not known to generate that much money, or certain types of events that I need to be doing in order to even pull that machine out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about it all the way around like that, you know, that would help me decide whether, yes, it is worth taking these however many racks to go buy this machine. You know, what's the buyback time? You know, how long is it? How many of these do I have to rent out, or how often do I have to rent this piece of equipment out, this photo booth or whatever it is, in order to get my money back?
Yeah. And I kind of remember that conversation because I think we landed on if it's not returning at least 60% over the cost, then but I think part of that is we also had the working session was trying to put a number on what you thought it would do. Um, so I think a lot of people, if they would just sit down and put a number to it, like it would just save them a lot of headache and misery later.
Good point. I mean, it's just like they say, like, you know, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. So when you're
They
looking
don't.
down at this P&L statement that says, yes, you did bring in $150,000 this year,
Mm-hmm.
but it says you also spent $175,000.
Mm-hmm. And
So
it says you don't have room to finance anything because how you gonna pay for it?
it tells you those things, and the numbers, it says all of that, you know, and there's no disputing it. Having the information means you have the power to decide.
That's a great point right there because I can't tell you how many people I hear we get to the end of the year, they've done business all year. They think they've made a lot of money. But when we get to the end of the year and you a small business owner and you only look at your numbers at the end of the year, like think about how many things you missed, how many things you could have changed throughout the year that would have saved you some money at the end of the year. So yeah.
One example of that, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
subscriptions, right? Subscriptions
Mm-hmm.
are so easy to lose track of, you know, because it makes perfect sense at the beginning. That's why you signed up. You took the time, put your name, put your email, your credit card, because it was a good idea at the time. But then you start getting into the day-to-day operations of the business. Before you know it, if it's a service that's working well for you, great. But if it's one that you're not using every day, sometimes it could fall to the wayside. And now you have this monthly withdrawal from your account, you know, and no matter how small it is, it adds up over a year. At the end of the year,
Chris,
that's something I've learned as well from using financial services.
you've learned so much, Chris. I hear it.
Oh my God. Can you hear it?
I hear it.
I mean,
We've come a long way from the socks.
we have come along with the stock hustle. Yes, yes. I mentioned that in one of my earlier face-to-face radio show episodes too, about the sock hustle.
Oh
Which
yeah.
go check that out on my YouTube channel, face-to-face radio show. But yeah, it's like I have learned a lot, and the thing about it is, once I've learned it, now I have the pressure of doing something with it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it's helped me in several different ways to improve my spending habits. And also it's helped me too to identify times where maybe now the name, or in this season, the name of the game is upselling.
At the end of the day, I think integrity and quality will get you like way farther. So I think as a business owner, like, oh, Chris, we haven't talked about this, but yeah, it goes back to if you were a good employee, you can be a good business owner because if you got to work late all the time, you're not going to be on time for your clients or opening your location. Like you're not going to do it, but you're going to expect the same money, which is not right.
Yes, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. So
Okay.
as far as like some of the common things you see, as you're working with your clients, are there a few missed opportunities that are like more trendy than others, like things that just like, okay, well, most people typically are not doing this throughout the year, and if they would, this would benefit them? Like, do you have a few you would share with the face-to-face radio show
But
list?
got it. The biggest one that I see is that, and I think we kind of mentioned this before, is that people do not keep their business and personal separate. That's, when they're interacting with people and on paper with how they transact and run their business. Um, that to me is the biggest first no-no, because you're mixing numbers, you're missing deductions, because you don't have a centralized or one location, i.e., your business checking or your business credit card where you're paying for things. If you're paying cash, excuse me, or you're paying from your personal account, and you're also not keeping track of these things to know, oh, I did pay this with cash. I have a receipt. I need to account for it. If you're not doing these things on like a monthly, quarterly basis, by the time you get to the end of the year, you forgot about that expense that you paid for with cash. You definitely did. So think about if you had, I don't know, $5,000 worth of transactions that you paid for with cash and you didn't account for because you just forgot. Or you paid for it with your personal account and you forgot to go back over there and get it, grab it. Um, that's the biggest thing, mixing business and personal.
Mixing the business and the personal. I feel like that too will, I mean, of course, it also takes out of perspective, whether you're gaining or losing money. If you got your day job money getting automatically deposited into the same account where you're collecting transactions from your small business, is it your day job that's keeping you up, or is it your business that's taking off? You really wouldn't know. So
Ask the people, Chris, because I want to know too.
so, and it's very, very simple to open a small business bank account. Let me just touch on that for a second. So I've done this several times, across the different businesses that I've started up. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a few steps that you must take, but it's a short list. For one, you're gonna need to have a registered business, right? At the top of that list. So that means going through the Secretary of State, making sure that your business name is available to you, state, and from there, applying for your EIN number. Okay, your employer identification number. Very important number. Okay, this is your business's social security number,
Definitely.
which means it keeps all of the business away from your social security number. That's another piece we'll talk about. EIN number, you got your business registered. From there, you take those two pieces of information, which the Secretary of State is going to give you your articles of incorporation. You've applied for your EIN online, by the way, online. Takes a few minutes, pay a few dollars,
A few dollars.
a few dollars. The EIN cost, how much did it cost?
Is I
Actually, did
can't
it
remember, but
cost
it's
anything?
it's free. It's
I think it's
free.
free. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't even
It's
think
the
that part.
Secretary of State that charges a fee, and it's not even a lot.
In the state of North Carolina, it's $125 to register your business with the state of North Carolina. $125. If you want to expedite it, it will cost you an extra $200. I know this, I've done it, but you will get it within 24 hours. You cannot beat that. Make these small investments into your business so you can begin to earn money the legit way.
That's all.
Take those two pieces of information to the bank, the EIN, the articles of incorporation, tell them you want to open up a small business account, see what options they have, which I highly recommend doing that homework online before you go to the bank to find out or how you meet the criteria, what's the best options they provide or offer to people like you. Pick one or two, go down to the bank, talk to them, open it up, make your $25 deposit, initial deposit to open the account. A lot of times it's as small as $25. You now have a registered business.
I will add this too. There are a lot of gig or I guess careers that people have to where they don't necessarily need to register and they don't mind continuing to use their social. Um, but if you plan to expand or you want to finance things in your business name separately, I think it is good to go ahead and set these things up as a separate business entity because at some point, you know, all businesses should be in pursuit of profit. Um, and you should be seeking that growth. And at some point, I mean, you can employ yourself. Um, your business can give you a W-2, you know? So I think that's where we're going with this.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man, you drop these gems so quickly and you run with them. Let me back up for a second. So you mentioned your business hiring you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just to dive into that a little bit deeper, what I hear you talking about is being able to have a functioning business that generates revenue, right? And instead of money coming out of your pocket, you're being paid by the business at this point. And
Yes.
and your status has changed from contractor or, yeah, from contractor status, essentially, depending on if we're talking about taxes, let's just say,
Mm-hmm.
into being now an employee of the business. Tell me about the tax implications there.
Okay, so this leads to one of the things that I see that's not correct that some people don't really know. Um, as a single member LLC, you can't pay yourself via payroll. So it's not until you hire someone, you have staff, you have contractors, however, basically staff that you want to put on payroll, you can do that and get, you know, a deductible business expense for that. But it's not until your single member LLC is steady trending upward and you feel like there's no turning back. At that point, there are other types of entities that you can transfer into, and it will then allow you to pay yourself. You can set up pretty much everything that you would have if you work for someone. You set up the same thing through your business and treat yourself as an employee. It's pretty much it.
I mean, that's dope. Like I've explored that too, as far as one of my businesses, and I can say there's a certain peace of mind as well that you get when that happens. If you're in the type of business that you end up transferring into, LLC, single member or multi-member, and be able to pay yourself through the business, that's like a level of establishment too along the way that is to be celebrated, something to look forward to. I just want to say that to the small business owners out there. And it's another symbol of your growth as well. We want to employ people so they can take care of themselves and feed their families and all of that. And so these are some of the steps that come along the way that you're able to see yourself actually materializing these things. So I wanted to just point that out. Got you. And so just to zoom out a little bit, what we're talking about is these other ways of securing the bag in your small business outside of just selling the product or service that you sell. We're talking about lowering your taxable responsibilities each year. So this goes along with the same objective of creating a successful money generating business. And as you're speaking, Fran, that's what just came to my mind was as far as how do we use this information, right? How do our listeners use this information or even like process this? This is a part of the work that you're doing throughout the year, or you're hiring someone to manage for you throughout the year so that you have a better end of the year, you know,
Yeah.
and these are things that are in your control that you can do, you know.
Yeah. Because even on, even the startup business who only has one owner, if that's your mainstream of income, who says you can't set up your own retirement account? Who
Mm,
said that?
right.
And you can actually, if you set it up properly, it can actually help lower your taxable income just on that single member LLC Schedule C form on your 1040.
1040.
1040.
Word. Okay. This is good. This is good stuff. I feel like this is the information that I don't really hear when I listen to, financial, informative pieces of media. These are the little pieces that I've learned through my own experiences with working with a financial advisor, but I don't hear this information repeated as I hear, information from other sources. So I'm glad to be able to share this because again, this is how you really secure the bag. It's a lot. It's about more than just selling more units. You know, it's about also how are we keeping as much money as possible, that just
Mhm.
came. And a lot of that is lowering your overhead, like you mentioned earlier, keeping your overhead low as you can get it, you know.
Well,
And
that's because too a lot sorry to cut you off, but a lot of people they're operating on a day to day as long as they see the numbers going up in the bank. I mean those bills are coming. So it is important to, I know people talk about personal budgets all the time, but budgets for your business is very, very, very important as well. Um, but as a business owner, you need to know what your break even point is. I mean, we said bottom line earlier, but break even because you need to know on a weekly, whatever service or product you're providing, you need to know how much you need to do that week so that you can take care of business.
this is very true. And this makes me think about like a projection from week
Mm-hmm.
to. And I've had services in the past that would provide me financial advice on a weekly basis. And basically what it does is at the beginning of the week, it allows me to see how much money I expect to bring in this week from, offering the services, the events that are on my calendar, right? How much money do I expect to bring in between today and the end of the week? And with that number, I also know, okay, from that date to this date, that's how much I'm bringing in. But also, what bills do I owe from that date to this date?
Yeah. That spreadsheet was handy, wasn't it?
Listen, I live by that spreadsheet now. It's like numbers don't lie. This is how much money I expect to bring in from this day to this day. This is how many bills need to get paid. That means these are those due dates for those bills between this date to that date. Match it up. Do
Mm-hmm.
I have more money? Do I have less money? Did I break even?
It's the same concept on the personal side. I tell people all day. People laugh at me because I have a check register that I keep with me.
Like a manual
Um,
one that you write in?
Absolutely.
Ooh, throwback.
I go through the drive through at Founders and I get those for free. So I
Hold on.
have a lot of
That sounds like some underground stuff you just slid past.
at Founders. It's a credit union. They give them out for free. Thank you. But yeah, so if I'm writing a check, not if I am using my card, however I'm hitting that account, I write it down because at the end of the day, like you were just saying on the business side with the projections for the week, if I look in the bank and I've been spending, but I've been charging as credit or it's over the weekend and it hasn't hit that bank account, that available balance is not available.
It's a lie.
I mean, yeah, somebody need to tell you it's not available.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, my friends can laugh all they want to, but that check register saves lives.
You know, I laughed, but you're absolutely right. You're 1,000% right. And that's what gets a lot of people, in my opinion, caught up is that available balance because you went out last night and
Mm,
you was tipping more
mm,
than what I'm saying. You was making it rain and
mm,
these numbers don't look right, what I'm saying, on Saturday or on Sunday. But that's that denial sometimes.
mm.
But yeah, you got to know what's coming in versus what's going out, just like personal or business. And when you know on the business side, that's when you know how hard you're really working or how hard you need to be working.
Mm.
The numbers is gonna say, listen, yes, we got $1,500 of work coming in that we expect, but we also have $2,000 of bills going out, and we didn't get ourselves gas. We didn't go out to eat yet. We didn't, do any of those things that we would feel comfortable charging.
Mm.
You got to figure this out, and it's in knowing that information at the beginning of the week will
It's so much better.
it's so much better. It's like you at least are ahead of it and you can figure some things out. Okay, maybe it's time to cancel some of these subscriptions.
Mm. Or maybe, for the people who have like part-time workers or contractors that come in and do, certain projects for them. At that point, when the funds aren't there, maybe it's time for you to, lower your pride, get in the weeds a little bit and handle some of those tasks so that you can get through that week.
Great point. Pause. I want to share an experience about that, as far as knowing where you stand and realizing, what, I need to cut back on my overhead, even if just for a short period of time, like 1 week,
Mhm.
and being willing and able and knowing that that's what you need to do, getting in there. And so what that might mean as a small business owner is instead of paying um my worker, if I wash cars, let's just say, right, instead of paying someone to wash X amount of cars this week, I will probably get out there and wash them myself. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
To save myself the expense of having to pay someone else to do it, in order to, again, preserve the bottom line, the break even point, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it. We don't have to complicate it. That's the problem. We make it too complex. Try to make it sound pretty. Just keep it simple.
Real simple, real simple. This is how much is coming in. This is how much is going out. How does it look? Where do we land?
And don't pull stuff out of the sky. That's what I used to hate about corporate, like forecasting week. Like, are y'all pulling these numbers out of the sky? Like, how you come up with that number? That's what I want to know. Where did that number come from? And the auditors at the end of the year say, how did you get to that calculation? They don't know.
Nobody
They
knows,
don't know. Nobody knows.
but it's good to
Please
know.
don't pull numbers out of the sky.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. And pulling numbers out of the sky is like you're in a meeting with a photographer and you're negotiating a project that you want to do, to capture
Mm,
pictures of you and all of your beauty and,
mm,
your beautiful shop or whatever it is. However, pulling from the sky, you may go ahead and get under contract to start that work,
mm,
but you don't know how you're going to pay this man or this woman,
at all.
you know,
At all.
and that's if you haven't done the work of knowing where you stand, on a week to week basis for a lot of the small business owners out here. It is a daily
Yeah.
thing, it's a week to week thing. And it's okay. Like, regardless of
Hmm.
where you stand, if you can't afford that project right away, that's okay.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Please say no. Please say
Right.
no.
Say no, save yourself from the stress and most importantly from the debts and potentially ruining what could have been a good relationship with this service provider. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
All of those things are protected under that ecosystem of uh understanding, where you stand financially. Where does your business stand?
Yeah. It's pretty simple. Save you a lot of headache.
Save you a lot of headache and
Uh,
money, and
Yeah.
so, but yeah, no, this is good. This is good. This is really good. Trying to think what else I can pull out as far as experiences that we can share. I mean, that was a really good one as far as, having to get it down in the weeds from time to time. But then also on the flip side of that, you have those, flourishing moments too.
Hmm.
There's sometimes where it may be busy season for your industry. And so you are going to see, maybe you're coming out of a slump and now there's all this money coming to you and the emails and then the DMs and people want to hire you. Some important things around that, some important messages. Let's talk about that a little bit. So the one that comes to mind is, okay, now that you are in this flourishing period, how do we, one, use that to our advantage now, but also use it to our advantage later, as far as putting funds aside, having a project wish list, you know what I'm saying?
We did do that, didn't
You
we?
did.
Oh, I
Let's talk
forgot
about,
about that.
let's talk about that.
Um, I just think, you know,
What was the
yes,
scenario? What was the scenario? Break that down for the listeners. They haven't heard this story.
the scenario was you guys wanted to implement a few projects throughout the year, but the funds weren't there. So with these projections on a weekly, monthly basis, we kind of had to strategize when to bring it, when to make it possible during, that downtime. How could we save to put funds to the side or create or open up credit so that free up credit, I guess, so that on down the road it would be available when you wanted to do these projects. So
And
go
by the
ahead.
way, on that project list were things like getting new business cards, getting like table runners with our logo on it,
Mm-hmm.
getting having a retreat, for the team so that we
Mm-hmm.
can build that, team morale and stuff. What else? Expanding to other parts of town, was on that wish
Mm-hmm.
list as well.
Yeah. And I think it just goes back to, we see all the hype around crypto, investing, all these people think they can become a millionaire overnight. But I promise you, the millionaire who has been a millionaire for years, they know the value of saving. So you can have a millionaire mindset now. I mean, you need to save. You're saving for on the personal side. I mean, most people they want to buy houses, which I mean, I can kind of fight against that kind of logic right now with those prices. But some people now are saving or they're fixing their credit so that by say September, they're ready to go out there on the market and find their dream home. But it's the same on the business side. The funds are not always available, but that doesn't mean you can't plan or save for it. I always tell people throughout the year, especially, you know, if you're a single member LLC for real, like, you know how much money you typically generate or how much you think you're going to generate just based on, a quarter or month over month. So put that tax savings to the side so that you don't have, or pay it in, whichever you choose. I don't really force people to go either way. But put that money to the side in some type of reserve so that you don't have this huge surprise at the end of the year. It's the same concept for everything that you want.
And that's the
It
thing.
doesn't have to happen now.
And that's a great point, Fran. And don't feel bad. My advice is to not feel bad about having whatever is on
Mhm,
your wish list. It doesn't matter what it is, put it on there, but
mhm.
it's about understanding the right time to pull that trigger. That's it. Having that
And
patience.
what's priority?
Right. Definitely you can prioritize that list. Talk about that. Like when you say priorities, what you mean?
Well, it's more of at that particular time, is it a need or a want? I mean, can we push this off? Or is it something that we need right now that's going to help us generate more income without spending so much? Like, is
Right.
it going to do that?
And see, a great financial advisor is going to look at your numbers and ask you these questions and present to you some feasible options,
Mm-hmm.
allow you to make the decision. Because
Yeah.
really, as a business owner, this what we do all day long is we make decisions. We problem solve,
Oh. Mm.
problem solve, problem solve, and problem solve, and
Mm.
make decisions. That's it. That is, in my opinion, now that I think about it, and I'll think about this some more because it's just a new thought. But as far as defining a small business owner, a business owner, we make, we solve problems and we make decisions.
Yeah.
We take on that
And
responsibility.
I mean, at the end of the day, um, it starts with a hustle.
Starts with a hustle.
A
Yes,
hustle or a hobby. I mean, either one. Some people have turned hobbies into some very lucrative businesses. So hustle or hobby, most of the time, that's how they start out.
that's true.
Just a thought.
Yep. Thought something that sparks a certain feeling in you that you want more of that feeling.
Which makes you send emails and hit send.
Exactly. Exactly. So no, that's good. And then, as far as that list though, the wish list, prioritizing it and, basically saying based on where we are today, what what category does this fall into and going down the list? Is this a need or a want? And certain things you might be thinking about in making that decision would be what season is it? Is this our busy season? Is this our slow season?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
in the industry of events like I'm in, are we gonna be doing pool parties or are we planning more indoor activities because it's the winter? You know what I'm saying? Do we need to have, our branded beach balls right now? Do we need to spend money on that right now, given that it's January? Probably not. So, okay, that moves down the priority list. And then we go on to the next thing, this is a printer.
Yeah.
How bad do we need a printer right now? You know what I'm saying? Oh, we
Or
need,
are you gonna send your job to the Staples
or are
with
you going to
somebody?
do your job? Exactly. Those are all ways you can get the job done still,
Mm-hmm.
but do it in a way that may be more cost effective for you. Because again, as these wealthy people will tell you, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep.
So one of the examples that I had today in a meeting with the client was they have a brick and mortar for their location. And one of the things is just deciding like, even though I have a brick and mortar, does that mean I should be open every day? Are there certain times of the day based on the service or product that I offer? Like, what time of the day should I be open? Should I be open later, or should I catch the early morning traffic? If I'm not getting traffic on Saturday, does that mean I need to be open Tuesday through Friday? Like, I don't have to be open every day. I could be open Tuesday and Thursdays, so Wednesday only. As long as it's helping you to get where you need to be, that's what matters most, not how much.
And understanding your customers, right? Like, are your
Yeah.
customers going to be shopping for snow cones at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday? Probably not, So going back to your example, that helps you decide on hours of operation, for example.
Or are you in there grinding every day, but you only open it up to the public on certain days?
Great point. Oh, that's the one right there, Fran.
And you know what? I just had an idea. So if you have those days where you're the only one in there grinding, not using up much space, do you have a space that you can lease out on certain days to other people and generate some more income?
Rental space, event rental space, office rental space. Exactly.
Suites, whatever, one room in your house, in your office. I mean, there's so many ways to make money now. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Yes, it is.
It's ridiculous.
So again, the problem is not about how to make money. In my opinion, it's not about how to make money. It really is about how to make money, make me more money. Like,
Yep.
what decisions do I need to make to turn this piece of change into a bigger piece of change?
Literally change into dollars, because that's what can happen. It's kind of exponential.
Running businesses, I've seen people who didn't do well at all in school do well.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do well.
I think it's the drive, and it's you will learn what you want to learn. Like, people put time and effort towards what they want to. So if you feel like you're passionate about something and it's gonna make you money and that's something you want to do, you're gonna learn it. And for those pieces, like you said earlier, those pieces that you just are not interested in, but you know that you need for your business to be efficient, successful, hire somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Hire somebody. We're not good at everything. I hate marketing. You saw how the struggle was for me to get on here.
I'm glad you got you
So
on.
yeah, I have to pay. I actually been paying my cousin a whole lot lately to kind of help me with the marketing piece. I hate it.
Listen, but you're making it happen. You realize how important it is, and so you've decided that this is something that is worth becoming an expense for me, because it needs to get done, and I'm not the one to do it.
Mm-mm. And I think every business owner has to go into it with the concept of knowing that you're gonna have to spend money. Like, it's just, that's all.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna have to spend money, and try to make as much of that an investment as you can, as opposed to spending.
I mean, you definitely want a return on those dollars that you spend, but there's going to be some spending that doesn't really sit well with your spirit throughout the year, but you're going to need to do it.
Amen. Amen. You're right about that. Well, Fran, this was excellent. It was great catching up with you. I feel like we have so much more to talk about.
Do we?
Yes, so we'll have to run another segment, get some more time together, and share some of this incredible information for these small business owners out there who, could benefit from this knowledge and wisdom that you're sharing. So how do people connect with you if they want to come find you and inquire about your financial services? Do you have an Instagram, email, phone number, anything you want to share with us?
I have a website that Kind of has everything there. It's www.cesca that's CESCA unlimited.com.
Dope. Be sure y'all reach out to Fran. Get on her calendar if you're lucky, because she definitely stays busy. I know I try to keep her as busy as possible. Help me keep money in my pocket. So definitely encourage you all to do the same. Francesca, has been a pleasure. Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate it, Chris.
Absolutely. Hope you all feel inspired and motivated on this Monday morning. All right, let's get to the bag, y'all.